Question 255. Do you have a favourite joke?
Yes, but I can't remember what it is.
Helpful.
I think it's
I
just
have
me.
a favourite joke that's in incredibly bad taste, and I will not say it, but it's only my favourite because of the reaction we all had when we first heard it.
Yes, don't say it.
Can you
Yeah, I'm not
can you do the reaction?
Like, I think it was like, oh my fuck, you can't say that in a joke, and then we all lost it.
I have a couple of favorites, but they tend to be cryptic references that nobody here would get.
All right. Yeah, I do have a favorite joke.
Go on.
In fact, I have two. One is short and one is not.
You might be able to tell both.
Here is the short one. So, a dyslexic man walks into a bar.
Huh.
Tom says, yes, it's a long, complicated joke about a penguin driving a sports car through the desert.
Oh shit, I've got three.
Intellectual Iconogasm says, mine is an outtake from Boondog Saints. It was too offensive to make the final cut.
Oh shit, I've got four.
Go on then, give us another.
Did you hear about the dyslexic bank robber?
No.
Okay, so he was going to rob a bank.
Yeah.
But he'd never robbed a bank before, so he was a bit nervous. So he wrote down a script for how he was going to rob this bank and what he was going to say when he goes in. But he's dyslexic, so that was a terrible idea from the outset.
Yeah.
So him and his gang, they all go into the bank. They pull out their shotguns. He pulls out his shotgun and his script, points the shotgun at the bank teller, and he says, "Air in the hands, mother stickers. This is a fuck up."
Is that not a joke that Hitchens said?
Quite possibly.
Well, one that I tend to use a lot is that I'm an insomniac agnostic, a dyslexic agnostic insomniac.
Oh, yeah.
That I lay at night contemplating the existence of dog.
Yep. I know that one.
The dyslexic devil worshipper who sold his soul to Santa.
He still didn't get a fucking bike.
Jesus walks into a bar with 3 nails and says, "Can you put me up for the night?"
That was in The Crow.
Okay, one of my favorite ones for Easter is after Jesus comes back, they want to celebrate, so the apostles take him to a discotheque, and everybody's getting it on, having a great time, but Jesus is just standing there, and Paul goes up and asks him, what's wrong, my Lord? Why aren't you joining in? And he says, "I've risen and I can't get down."
So, do you want to admit my favourite joke is also a little bit long?
Go on.
Okay, so guy has a fancy dress party. He decides he wants everyone to come as emotions. So he starts the party. There's a knock at the door. He goes to the door. There's a woman stood there, and she's all stood in green. She says, "I've come for your emotions party." He says, "Brilliant. What have you come out?" She says, "I'm green. I'm green with envy." He says, "Oh, fantastic. In you come." Party's going on a little bit more. There's another knock at the door. He goes to the door. There's a guy stood there all in blue. The guy says, "I've come for your emotions party." "Have you? Fantastic. What have you come as?" He says, "I'm blue. I'm sadness." "Brilliant. In you come." Party's going a little bit more. There's another knock at the door. Opens the door. There's a woman stood there in red. She says, "I've come to your emotions party." He says, "Brilliant. What emotion have you come as?" She says, "I'm red. I'm anger." "Great," he says. Brings her in. Party's going on. It's been rocking. There's another knock at the door. He walks to the door and he opens the door, and there's these 2 rastas stood there, stark bollock naked. One of them's holding a pear and the other one's got his dick in a bowl of custard. And the guy looks, he says, "Excuse me, where are you guys from?" And they said, "We come for your emotions party, man." And he says, "Well, okay, but what emotions have you come as?"
Wait, you've gone dead quiet.
"Friend, he is deep in despair, and I am fucking disgusted."
Enjoy that one.
Fucking disgusted. Okay.
Wait
I've
there.
thought of a load more.
Just wait. Confucius say, "Man who run through airport turnstiles sideways, going to Bangkok." by Jeff. Intellectual Iconoclasm says, why was Jesus always hanging around with the whores and outcasts? Because he was hung like this.
Okay.
Okay. Sammy says, what colour is a hiccup? Purple. Right there.
Okay, what did the Roman soldier say when he put Jesus?
It says, "Why the long face?"
What did the Roman soldier say when he put Jesus up on the cross?
What?
Go on.
Nailed it.
Okay. So, piece of rope walks into a bar, and he says, "I'd like a beer, please." And the barman says, "Look, I'm sorry, mate. We don't serve pieces of rope. You're just gonna have to get the fuck out." So the piece of rope he's very disappointed, but he goes out and goes around the back of the bar, and he ties himself into a little bow and kind of feathers out his ends a little bit, and he goes back in, and he says, "I'd like a beer, please." The barman says, "Aren't you that piece of rope that came in just now?" And he goes, "Nah, afraid not."
Yep, I heard that one.
I've got another one that's shorter.
Go on.
What's the difference between illegal and unlawful?
Go on.
Unlawful is against the law. Illegal is just a sick bird.
I've got one that's unnecessarily long.
Go on then.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. So, there's this guy. He's a homeless chap. He lives on the side of the road, and he sees this woman drowning in a lake, and he runs over, and he pulls her out the lake, and she turns out to be the daughter of a wealthy businessman. The wealthy businessman is very grateful to this homeless chap, and he says, "Right, what do you want? I'll give you anything that you want in exchange for you saving my daughter's life." And the homeless man says, "Oh, give me a $5. I'll go on a cruise." He's like, "You just want £5? I could get you a house. I could give you a job, anything. No, just give me £5. I'm going to go on holiday." Everyone's leaving because my joke's so long. So the guy said, "Okay, here's £5." And the homeless man takes it, and he goes to whatever the place where you book holidays is called. What are they called?
Travel agents.
That'll do. He goes to travel agents. He says, "I'd like to go on holiday. I've got £5." The guy says, "Well, we don't have any £5 holidays." He goes, "Sure?" The guy goes through his list, and he goes, "Oh, actually, we do. We've got a cruise you could go on." He goes, "Oh, perfect. That's exactly what I want." I'm really starting to regret starting this joke. So the guy he books this cruise for £5. And he goes to the cruise ship. He goes to get on the ship. And the captain says, "Well, you're a smelly homeless man, so we can't have you in any of the first class cabins or the second class cabins. You got to go way down by the engine.
Mm.
And secondly, you can only come out at night."
Uh-huh.
So he does. He goes on this cruise. He comes out at night. He goes on all does all the stuff that's available on the cruise, as was paid for by his £5 ticket. And while he's there, he finds a swimming pool and decides to try diving. And he does this, and he discovers he's actually quite good at diving. So then the captain, one night, he takes up diving quite regularly on this cruise. It's something like a 2-week cruise, something like that. And one night the captain comes out and sees him doing this diving, and he's really impressed. And this guy's actually really good at diving. So he said to the guy, "You should put on a show for the other passengers." He goes, "Are you sure? I thought you didn't want me coming out during the day." He goes, "No, it's fine. We'll put on a show because you are an excellent diver." So they build this really tall diving board. It goes way up past the bridge of the ship. It almost touches the clouds. And all the passengers gather to watch this homeless chap dive. He climbs up to the top of the board, and he dives. He does several flips on the way down, comes down past the amazed onlookers, splashes into water, crashes through the bottom of the pool. He goes down past the first class cabins, down past the second class cabins, down past the third class cabins, past the engine room, his own cabin, out the bottom of the ship. He goes down past all the fish, down to the bottom of the sea. And he swims back up and climbs back through the hole in the ship, past the engine room and his little cabin, past the third class cabins and the second class cabins and the first class cabins, swims back up through the pool and climbs out the pool. Everyone's really impressed, but the ship is sinking. So he's there, just standing on the deck as the ship's starting to go down. Everyone's getting on the lifeboats. The captain says, how did you do that? You know, how did you survive going crashing through the bottom of the pool and all those decks and out the bottom and then coming back? And the guy says, well, as homeless people, we go through a lot of hardships.
Oh,
That's a dreadful joke.
it's appallingly bad.
That was so not worth it.
No, it wasn't.
I
Oh,
know.
it really wasn't. We all hate you now, Badger.
Yeah. Tom says, just ignoring
That's 3
OSHA
minutes
standards.
of my life will never get back.
Yep.
Tom says, just ignoring OSHA standards, is this a Prince's cruise?
Yes.
Jeff says, your mum is so fat Donald Trump used her as a border wall. Spooky says, what did the Zen Buddhist say to the hot dog seller? Make me one with everything. That's another Hitchens one. Well, Hitchens repeated.
Yep. I saw an Australian chap tell that to the Dalai Lama.
Yes.
It went terribly. He was there talking to the Dalai Lama, and he says, goes for the pizza version. The guy Dalai Lama goes to the pizza shop, and he says, make me one with everything.
Do you know the next part of the joke?
Looking at him.
The next part of the joke?
Go on.
Well, he hands the vendor $10,
Okay.
and the vendor doesn't give him anything back. And he says to the vendor, can I have my change? And the vendor responds, change can only come from within.
Yeah, I like that one.
I like the Dalai Lama's reaction to being told this joke. He just kind of sits there for a bit, looking at the guy. The guy tries to repeat the punchline, and then he just looks at him, just theologically impossible.
So this has become Dave's joke session.
It has. It's about the last joke now. Then I'm going to do the last question.
I'm not telling anymore.
No, this is here.
I mean, we've actually driven away two
We
panel members.
haven't. They had to go. Mathpick had to get to Tesco.
I blame Badger.
You made Badger.
Oh,
You-
did
yeah,
you
you
get
can
Sammy
blame my
Jenkins in
dad.
the side chat?
You can blame my dad for that joke.
I gave him the link. Sammy Jenkins is the last joke. A lesbian goes to the gynecologist, and after an inspection, the gyno says, how do you keep yourself so clean? The lesbian says, I have a woman in twice a week. All right.
Didn't what's her name say that on QI?
Yes.
She did. Yeah. What is her name? Damn it,
Sandy Toxvis.
What's QI?
Andy Thompson. That's
Well, you've
right.
never watched QI.
You would
I-
like it.
You'd like
I
it
don't know
purple.
what it is.
Look it up.
You should actually model one of these quizzes as a QI panel.
Should.
It'd be
Should
good
do
fun.
like a whole OBS layout where we're all fucking, I don't know, in panels.
In panels. I'll show you my. Have I shown you my new layout? That I haven't switched
We'll
to.
call it QU. Quite uninteresting.
QM. Quite mundane.
Quite mundane. Yeah, that works. QM.
Right.
Or just Q.
Just Q. Quite.
Now, by the way, I did warn you about that joke.
Yes, you did. It was unnecessarily long.
I gave you 2 opportunities to tell me not to tell it.
Okay, so we need to push legislation for harder and more accurate joke warnings.
The problem is, it was listed as a favourite joke.
Yeah, it is because it's so bad.